Your decision to bring a loved one into an addiction rehabilitation center, is it a well thought through decision, or is it just a reaction to something that has happened with this person which you didn't like? I want you to think about it. Welcome to Dr. BMS channel, and as always, please remember to subscribe and like our videos. Activate the notification bell so that you can get more of these videos as they come out, and we continue this discussion about the health of our bodies, our minds, and our souls. In the rehabilitation center, we sometimes receive patients who have come on an emergency basis. And in a previous video, I made a categorization of four common types of emergencies that make people bring their loved ones into rehabilitation in a precipitate way, in an emergency way. And it's important to mention the emergency way, because addiction to drugs and to alcohol, by its very nature, is a disease that progresses slowly. You don't take your first drink and become addicted to require to be in a rehabilitation. And so, because it evolves, it develops slowly, then people around you have time to notice and hopefully to take action. But if they fail to notice or to take action, then one day something may happen that pushes them into a precipitate action. And that's why it's important to talk about the precipitate nature of these admissions. And so we receive some patients who come for emergency precipitate admissions. We also receive patients who come on planned or more well thought through organized admissions. And I would like to discuss the distinction between these two types of admissions into rehabilitation center and how each progresses, leading to certain types of outcomes. And so when you bring your loved one into a rehabilitation center, it is either because you have over time observed and noticed that your loved one, your family member, is getting into an alcohol or drug abuse and addiction problem. And this is getting worse by the day. And that if something is not done, then this person will go off track completely. Their life, their career, their schooling, even their own health and safety will be at stake. And so you make a decision, you discuss within the family and make a decision that we need to do something to help this person, because it seems they have sunk to a level where they can't help themselves. We need to do it. That's what addiction is. And so you check around, you Google, you ask friends, and they tell you Fountain of Hope is the best rehabilitation center we have in Kenya. So you come there and we work with you. The patient stays with us for as long as possible, on average 3 months. And after that, the patient goes out, and most of the time they are okay. They heal and they continue with their life well. But we also have situations where a family has noticed someone sinking into addiction to drugs, to alcohol, but instead of having a frank discussion around this subject and making a decision about seeking help, they kind of wish it away, push it under the carpet, if we may say. And they cannot take a common stand. Some family members think this person is bewitched. Some think this person is just bad mannered. Other people just think he is stressed, she is stressed. And so this person then is led to continue down this path of destruction through addiction to drugs and alcohol because the family cannot make a decision to help. And sometimes they resort to just praying and saying things that are wishful and pleading with this person, practicing what I famously call faith without action. You're just wishing and believing things will change, but you are not doing anything towards achieving that end. So, in this second category, when something critical happens, one day this person who they have been wishing will change. When they are called that come, he's been arrested, or come, he has drunk and dropped blackout in a pub, or they are given a termination notice by the employer. You are being sacked because of alcoholism, absenteeism, and inability to perform your duties. Or a parent has been called by the school teacher, the principal, come and pick your son because you have expelled him, we found him with cannabis. Then the family suddenly wakes up and says, oh, we must do something. Oh, and they are running around sometimes on an emergency basis. They bring this person into rehabilitation center on an emergency basis. But when you investigate, this is not a new thing. They knew it and they knew that it was getting serious, but they were just unable to make a decision until a critical incident has happened. So these two scenarios commonly present to us at the rehabilitation center. And I would like to talk about each of them briefly and how they progress into the ultimate result. When a family in the first category recognizes that there is a problem with their loved ones, they discuss this problem openly and honestly within the family, and they make a decision that they are going to act, then they will achieve a result which is better and longer lasting than the other category. This is because during their discussion about this problem and what to do about it, they are likely to bring in all the people who matter, all the other family members who matter, who are stakeholders. They will alert everyone who can do something to do something. And when they bring this person into rehabilitation center, they will bring along all the other family members to offer their support, their encouragement, their tough love, which are the ingredients that we need for a successful rehabilitation from addiction. And they will bring their loved ones with the patience that is required to achieve the result. Because having thought through this, they know that addiction is a process. It develops through a process, slowly. Recovery from addiction also happens through a process, slowly. It's not a touch and go thing. It's not a magical thing that someone does. And it requires that sober, coherent thinking to get that picture straight. So they come into our center with that patience and with that support, with that cooperation, and we form a multidisciplinary team of us, the therapists, and them, the family, and we deliver a care, a treatment that is wholesome, which achieves a better result than otherwise. We need these patients because also rehabilitation taking time usually would last months. In Kenya, the average is 3 months, which if you compare to other countries around the world, is on the lower side. In countries that have resources to support, financial resources to support rehabilitation fully, like insurance and what have we, rehabilitation will last 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. And so you see, this is a long period of time where you need to be patient, you need to be well educated and aware about the processes so that you can tough it out. It is a long journey. It is a war. It's not a battle. Okay. If you come without having had the benefit of thinking, discussing, deciding on the course of action, because an emergency happened, then you may not be patient enough to wait for this care, this treatment to be delivered. Which then brings me to the second category of people who come in a precipitate way, on an emergency basis, not because they didn't know that there was a problem with their loved one, but they were wishing it away. They were ignoring it, they were belittling it, they were scapegoating it. And in the process, they enabled this person to get worse. It's like feeding a genie. Okay. So the problem got worse, and now a critical instance has happened, and they come. First, when they come, they were not prepared, they are not prepared. So the requirements that are needed to make rehabilitation successful may not be available because they were not prepared. The family is still divided over this issue. Some think that this person has a problem, need to be helped. Others think this person doesn't have a problem. Some people think they should seek treatment in a rehabilitation center. Some think they shouldn't. Maybe they should just go for prayers. Maybe they should just go and see a witch doctor, whatever case. Then there is the issue of the social support, the family therapy, participating in the process of cure for this person. Whereas a rehab will require you to come on a regular basis to talk to us and us to talk to you. We would like to discuss things within the family that may be causing this problem. If there are stresses within the family disputes, issues of parenting, we would like to discuss that as part of the rehabilitation for this person when we start the counseling sessions. But if you are not prepared, it may also mean that you're not even prepared to discuss those family issues. And so the rehabilitation will not be fully done. Then there's the issue of time and finances. You bring your loved one into rehabilitation on a precipitate basis, you may not be ready financially. It costs money to rehabilitate because, unfortunately, in our country, insurance doesn't support rehabilitation as much as it supports other diseases. So people pay out of pocket. So you're not prepared for this. And also, you're not prepared for the duration of time that is required. And some of these people then who come on a precipitate basis, a week later, they want to remove their person from rehabilitation because they had little or no commitment. They were just trying to solve a crisis. Someone had been arrested and had to be removed from the police station. So the commitment was not there. They are looking for shortcuts. They are trying to save costs and they are wishing away problems. So they will bring this person into rehabilitation. And after a short period of time, They come and they tell you, doctor, I think now he's looking well. I think we can just take him home, and now we will be bringing him whenever you require him, so that we don't spend a lot of money because we were not prepared. That's fine, but it's just part of the story. They were not prepared for this thing financially, because also they were not prepared mentally, psychologically. Okay, and they look at outward signs. This person may have been alcoholic, in bad health. They are emaciated, maybe the tummy is swollen, the feet are swollen. They're just having that physical look of someone who sleeps rough, is homeless. And so when they come into rehabilitation, after a few weeks, they have started regaining their health. Their skin is starting to glow again. They are starting to put on weight, and they look okay. So the family comes and looks at this, and they are convinced now the person is okay. But with the therapist, we're telling them, no, 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 this person is not okay. It's just the body which is okay. The mind and the soul is still not okay. This person still has a mentality of a person in addiction. The things that torment them, the depression, the family disputes, the poor parenting they have had for a long time, the inheritance issues they have had for a long time, they are still within them. So if they leave the rehabilitation center, it will just be a matter of days, sometimes hours, before they go back into taking the alcohol they are drinking. They will relapse. But sometimes we find difficulty explaining this sometimes because the family made the decision to bring this person to rehabilitation on a precipitate basis. They had not thought through it. They are not fully committed and they are not supporting it. So sometimes it ends prematurely with consequences that are not as good as they should have been. So I would like to conclude my talk today by saying, when your loved one is going into addiction, abusing drugs, alcohol, they are behaving irresponsibly. There are warning signs from home you can see, at work, at school. Please take that early opportunity to have a discussion with this person, about this person in the family, and design a plan of action which you should also be ready to carry out when the time comes, so that you do not wait for things to go down south and then one day an emergency arises. You are not really prepared for the long journey of treating this person, but you have to act because an emergency has arisen and you bring them into rehabilitation. When you do that, the outcome is not good, and sometimes also the cost of treatment, of rehabilitating this person, will be much higher than it would have been if you had thought about it methodically, planned about it, and acted in good time. I hope this gives some encouragement to those families, to those people who are still undecided, seated on the fence, that Dr. BMS is telling you: recognize a problem, accept that there is really a problem, don't deny it, discuss it within the family, and start planning and executing those plans about how you're going to resolve that problem. Thank you, and see you in another video of Dr. BMS.